It's really awesome, I must say, before I get into my message, to see so many people from CSL Paradise Center in your new incarnation. And I was saying this morning to somebody that it's so great to see people in the flesh, in the God flesh, and as opposed to on Zoom. And when I was getting dressed this morning, I went, oh my God, I put jeans on. I'm still in the Zoom mode. Although I think unconsciously I elevated because it was usually sweatpants or shorts. Long time of shorts, huh? Yeah. So anyway, just really great. And seeing Don, seeing you, I'm not going to cry. I'm grounded. Is always, whenever I see you, I always remember that my entrance into the Paradise Church of Religious Science in 1984 was facilitated by Don and his wife, Kathy, at that time. So, yes, and they said, you're a mess. You need to go. And they said, there's this really amazing redhead who also does great counseling. And, in that gratitude, in that opening song that we were listening to, where she was singing about all the tears, all the pain, all the things that have happened, all the things that we've carried and let go of, that all of those things were and are necessary to bring us to a point of a greater realization. The thing is that, speaking for myself, at the time before that peeling away began to happen, I didn't know it. I mean, I knew that there was a God. I always believed that, and I sensed that in my own being, and I knew that the religious teaching that I was raised in was, I got that God is love, and that's what I took, and I left the rest. What I didn't realize is that I was such a palpable expression of the love of God, and that what I was experiencing was because of choices that I had made. And those choices were the best choices that I could make at that time. Maybe you can relate. Based on what I believed to be true. And so, this teaching to really learn it and apply it is it's not something for nothing. And it doesn't ask you, as you've probably all heard at some time, it doesn't ask you to leave your intellect at the door, because your intellect is a part of your spiritual nature. But are we spiritualizing our intellect? Yes, that's what we're all here for. And when you do your spiritual practices, whatever it is that you do, you are making the conscious choice to spiritualize your intellect. The question that I always ask myself, and that I recognize in myself is that I don't always stay in that place. But as soon, see, here's the gift of our conscious mind. As soon as we realize, oh, I'm not in that place, the more and more that the more we realize it, we have a choice to make a new choice or not a new choice. So I was just so reminded in that song that the process of letting go of the old and allowing the light that is already within us to begin to break through is sometimes painful. When the shell cracks, the light has a place to move through us. And that is something that we didn't cause to happen. I mean, the fact that the light comes through, it just does, because that is our spiritual nature, and that's one of the ways that it works. Okay. So there is this part of what we believe that says heaven is within us, and we experience heaven to the degree that we become conscious of it. So are you all aware of your conscious mind? We have a conscious mind, and it has ideas, and some of those ideas are habitual. Actually, we don't even need our conscious mind anymore when they're habits. We just do. And some of those things that we just do, right, are not that great. And this says heaven is within us, and we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. So if I'm not experiencing heaven, well, what am I going to do? Well, what I used to do, and sometimes still do, is I go out into the experience and I try to change it. That usually involves trying to change people. That's a hard way to go. But, sometimes I have a tendency to do things the hard way. And I forget this other part in what we believe, and it says, there is a power in the universe greater than I am. Say this with me. There is a power in the universe greater than I am. And I can use it. But I can choose not to use it. Okay, so there was this woman who she made her transition from this experience to the next, and when she became conscious, she goes, oh my gosh, I'm in heaven. She knew instinctually that she was in heaven. And so she began to move around but right away what happened was that St. Peter came and cut her off at the pass. And he welcomed her very, very warmly. And he said, oh my God, there is so much here for you to have and to experience. And it's all here. It's all here for you. So go and enjoy. And so she did. And she explored a lot of things that she hadn't explored in her life on earth, like she started playing golf, and she learned to ride a motorcycle, and she made friends with a lot of different kind of people that she had never done. And so just imagine, she just was going around and doing these things. But he reminded her, he said, now, all these things are here for you to enjoy, but look over there. Do you see that beautiful temple with the pillars? You are not to go in there. Everything else is for you. You are not to open that door. So, she's in the midst of enjoying, and time is going by. And then one day she started to go like, curiosity, what's in there? And eventually, she just gave in. She went over and she opened the door, and immediately St. Peter was right there. He appeared by her. And she looked in, and she saw a lot of things that seemed familiar to her. And she said, what is all of this in here? All of these amazing things. And he said, those are all the gifts that you chose not to receive. Well, that was a sad moment for her. It was kind of a comeuppance. But it was a revelation. And she realized that even though she was in heaven and there was so much for her to enjoy, that she could still use this power within her, and that she could experience even more than that. And that she was willing to be more aware of the fact that her heart's desires were very meaningful and important. It wasn't just necessarily having a diamond bracelet or no concern about finances. It wasn't necessarily even about being healthy. That what it was really, really about was her getting in touch with the truth of who she is and what it is that she has to give. And through that process, it dawned on her that what she had to give was actually what she desired to receive. So we all know we want this and we want that, and some of them are very, very, very meaningful. But what do we believe about ourselves in regard to that? Now, the science of mind principle that we're working with here today is that gratitude is the practice of the realization that all good has already been provided. So anything and everything that you can imagine that you desire, in some way, shape, or form, what I'm saying is it's already there. How could you have imagined it and have a felt sense of what it is without it already being there, even if it's just in your imagination? It's there. But do we take the time to sit with the way that it comes up in us, our imagination? How does it feel? What does it mean to us? Because that is the creative process. That is part of getting really, really clear about first about who you are. You are an individualized expression of God, meaning infinite good. You are at the core of your being that is eternal. You are whole. You are love. You are an expression of the love of spirit. You see, the science of mind is a spiritual psychology. And Dr. Holmes says this in the textbook on page 27, paragraph 4. This is a spiritual psychology because what we are dealing with is the mind and how to use it. And then, like Jesus said, prove it. Show me the demonstration. That's what he said. Now, the other thing in regard to scripture, then, and I absolutely love this. I don't want to get anything mixed up about it. Now, this is from, I think it's 2 Timothy, but it's verse 7. For God, infinite good, has not given us a spirit of fear. No. What God has given us is the power of love and a sound mind. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. But we are called to stir it up. Literally, to prime the pump. Looking at John, I'll never forget a lesson that we did over at the pavilion for kids about all the various ways that you can prime the pump and what actually happens when you prime a pump. You know, I see you're nodding, so you already know, but it was a real revelation to me, like, you know, only tiny little bit of water. But the more that you prime the pump and stir it up, oh my gosh, it takes time in this world to bring it forward, because we have false beliefs and blocks and obstacles that are in the way of that light and that water, which is consciousness, of that pure, clean, clear, crystal water coming through. The peace that we are. The wisdom, the power. And in science of mind, we call this volition. That power that is within us is a volitional power. So when we prime the pump, that's our choice. We choose. And so we prime the pump, we stir up this spirit, this power and of love and this sound mind. There's nothing wrong with you. You're whole, complete, and perfect. Does anybody ever think you're a little, yeah, or a lot? Depends on the moment. Okay, so I want to share with you Dennis Merrick Jones, Dr. Dennis Merrick Jones, a longtime science of mind minister. He's written some really wonderful books. And he says the law of attraction, which we believe in, because the other thing of what we believe is it's done unto you as you believe. And we don't usually, because the beliefs are at a subconscious level, when things happen, we go, well, I don't believe that. I mean, like 2 years ago, I had another bout of cancer. It's like, well, I don't believe that. But when I sat in the presence, I started getting really clear about possibly maybe some things of what that was about. So Dennis Merritt Jones says the law of attraction guarantees that complainers will always have a lifetime supply of things to complain about. So what if you just switch the first word from being a complainer to being a lover, being a smiler? Throw out some words. Being okay. What else? A giver. Is that what you said?
Grateful.
Yeah, being grateful. Even for the stuff we're not grateful for. Being compassionate.
Peacemaker.
Yeah, being a peacemaker. Beginning with ourselves.
There's nothing humorous about complainers. I know several people that have PTSD, and if they don't enjoy it, then why don't they accept any of the positive energy that people feed them, or any of the positive suggestions?
Well, that's a very good question, and I do have an answer for that, but we'll have to talk about that another time, or if I ever speak again, that could be part 2. So, we all know that we are bombarded with negativity every day. We just are. We're bombarded with it. And then we get, we're so bombarded with it that then we become what we've taken in. Again.
Maybe you could fight it by smiling at people and saying how good they look.
All right, there you go. Right. And here's the other thing. So I'm compassionate about PTSD, and, all the suffering that there is in the world. But what I have to focus on first is me. And it's not selfish, because it's done unto me as I believe. And if I believe that the world not only is going to hell, but that it's already there and that everything is, then that is the energy of what is my God self. So, let's go into this next week being mindful that we choose our attitude and up-level our willingness to make a new choice. Okay? And it all starts with just loving the heck out of yourself. Just loving and appreciating and acknowledging your heart self. So close your eyes with me for a moment. And let's return back to the infinite truth. The truth that is the very essence of who I am. And I speak this in the first person. I am a center for spiritual living. I am filled with power and wisdom. And I am of a sound mind, for there is only one mind, and it is the infinite mind of divine intelligence and infinite love. I call this God, Spirit, the One. I breathe this in, and something within me opens up and feels a sense of freedom. Freedom to express. Freedom to be. Freedom to look through the eyes of spirit that sees with love, unconditional love. Freedom to know that everything is abundantly provided for me, that I live in an infinite world of consciousness. I allow my imagination to run free with good, with prosperity, with wholeness, expressing as health, with harmony in all of my relationships. I choose wisely, for I am spirit. I am unlike anyone or anything else. I am whole and complete. I am a being of infinite love. And so join me in giving great thanks for this truth and stepping into this week of Thanksgiving full of abundance and gratitude and priming that pump. And together we affirm, and so it is.